All right, guys, I got to talk about this. This is regarding the Coming to America movie that I just saw. And I had a couple of comments on that I really wanted to get to right quick. Yeah. Saw it last night. When you give you my take on it and give you opinion about my true thoughts on it. So if you guys have not seen it, have not officially seen the movie yet, let you know, give you fair warning. This is officially the spoiler alert for my opinion on Coming to America 2. My name is DJ Wolf, and this is DJ Wolf Live. All right, guys. I want to get ahead and give you a fair warning on spoiler alert right quick. Again, one more time. This is a spoiler alert. All right. Now, I decided to watch the movie last night. My wife and I. And I'm not going to lie. I was excited about it because two of my comic heroes from back in the 80s, Eddie Murphy, and my homeboy. Yeah, it's my homeboy from Cleveland. Matter of fact, he grew up on my side of town, Arsenio Hall. We're going to be doing the long-awaited sequel to Coming to America. Of course, was Coming to America 2. Pretty much the entire original cast from 32 years ago was in the film. Of course, Arsenio Hall, Eddie Murphy, Sherry Hadley, who played the princess, James Earl Jones, John Amos, Louis Anderson. Those were the primary players, Madge St. Clair, who played Prince of King's wife, had passed away back in '95. But the prime core cast were all there. And, of course, they added some new ones. I can't think of the name of the young man who played Akeem's son. I know Leslie Jones, Tyana Taylor, who looked stunning in the movie. And who was that? Tracy, Jesus Christ. I must be getting old in age, man. But my man, Tracy was in it. So there was a lot of big names. There was Salt and Pepper was in it also. I don't even want to go into details about that. I'll leave it at that because I don't want to spoil too much of it. Oh yeah, I can because this is a spoiler alert. Morgan Freeman was in it. And Vogue was in it. I'm not going to tell you what they did in the movie, but they are all in it. Oh yeah, the guy who sang "A Queen to Be," he was in it too, and of course he sang in the movie. But the movie was beautifully shot, just as the first one was. The costumes were impeccable. The dance sequences were impeccable. I'll give it that. The soundtrack was good. Actually, I'm thinking about getting the soundtrack, downloading the soundtrack today. That's how much I liked it. As far as the soundtrack. I had a couple of problems with the movie when I saw it. A couple of reviewers have already talked about it, but this is my review on it. Excuse me for a second. Anyway, so as I saw it, a couple things came to mind. The first thing came to mind that they're focusing on feminism right away. I'll get to that in a second. And although the movie was shot brilliantly, I mean, it was stunning quality of the film in terms of the clothes and special effects and stuff in it. The comedy itself was lackluster. Oh, yeah, I forgot when I said Tracy, I meant Tracy Morgan. I can't think of it. Oh, that must be getting old. But the comedy itself was lackluster. I don't know who actually wrote the screenplay for it. I'm not even sure it was Eddie Murphy. But I will say this. Remember, Coming to America was once an R-rated film. All right? And they had a lot of cursing and everything on there at the time. And I think the new one was PG-13, which is probably why Amazon Studios ended up getting the rights to it via Paramount Pictures. And when it came out in 1988, there was nothing like it. Of course, this was pre-Black Panther. But Black Panther was a comic book that was written by a white guy. But the film came out, of course, decades after Come to America. Now, the original one, what worked on the original screenplay for Come to America is because it was an original screenplay. A lot of that stuff you didn't see. And this was 1988 now. You got to see a prince of course, it was a fictitious kingdom called Zamunda. Where you had African royalty. You don't see that in many films. But it was a good film. You had an all-star cast, and the comedy just worked. It really did. I don't think people were ready for it this time. Because, number one, they should have let Eddie Murphy write it the way he wanted to write it. I think it would have been much more funnier than what it was. That's number one. Instead of trying to make it politically correct, which was number two. And that's two of the problems I have with it already. And number three, it wasn't as funny as the first one. I'm not gonna lie. There were some funny moments. One of them was Leslie Jones. Leslie Jones was just absolutely funny. And although I'm glad that they brought the cast back for the second one, things was just missing from it, man. You didn't really see John Amos in about a couple of scenes. Louis Anderson was kind of a non-factor. I don't even know why he was brought back. That's another story. They did bring in Rick Ross, whose house they shot the film at. And he did make a big part. I wish they showed a little bit more Rick Ross in there. I think he was pretty good. And of course, finally, one of my wishes that I talked about was they put Michael Blackson in there. Michael Blackson did have some of a role in there. He was pretty good. Didn't see enough of him, though. I think he was funny as hell. And truthfully, I would have rather saw Michael Blackson as the general than Wesley Snipes. And I like Wesley Snipes as an actor, don't get me wrong. But Michael Blackson would have put the comedy spin on it a little bit better to me. I wish they gave Eddie Murphy a little bit more creativity in the film in terms of the writing. I mean, they should have just let him do what he wanted to do in terms of the film. I think it would have been a much better film. And the fact that they try to play off the political correctness of the environment today, which is bullshit. I'm sorry. The femininity factor was based on the Me Too movement. You can tell it was played throughout the film. I was kind of like, I hate to say I was slightly disappointed on that. It could have worked better if they had allowed the movie to be a little bit more free-spirited with the writing. I think it would have been a much more funnier film. Now, the qualities of the movie I did like was preached a lot about family. And family is where you make it. I love that. There were good things about it. The last part towards the end was a little quirky and corny and predictable and stupid. I'll say that. The makeup they had for Eddie Murphy is when Randy Watson made him look too much like the mother in the Clumps. That was one of the things I noticed. I was like, man, he looks like a Mother Clump in the Clumps. He really did. It's like it wasn't a good look. You know, was not a good look at all. Someone pointed out on YouTube that the witch doctor looked like remind you of Rafiki from The Lion King, which I do agree with. I didn't think about that until after I watched that video, and they're right. The son who, when they redid the African woman in Zamunda, who redid his hairstyle, did it up the style like Killmonger from Black Panther. Matter of fact, he had practically the same outfit on at one point. You know. Somebody else said that they thought the reason why they did a remake because they thought Eddie Murphy was probably jealous of Black Panther, which I don't totally agree with. Maybe the studio has something to do with that. They wanted to capture on the Black Panther audience. I do believe that. But it just wasn't, I don't know, it would feel like it was rushed. But it's kind of amazing how it would get rushed within the last, 32 years. And one other thing I'll say, if they were going to do a sequel, there should have been a sequel done in the 90s. I'll say that, while it was still fresh on everybody's mind from the first one, because it was that popular. Come to America was a smash hit. It's a classic, And for a while I was saying, man, they shouldn't do another one. But then again, I said, well, maybe they should. But they waited 30 years too late to do it. Because you can't get away with the stuff that, jokes and stuff that you could get away with in 1988 you couldn't get away with the jokes now that you could have got away with in 1988 that you can't get away with now because it's too politically correct. And of course they made it a girl power type of movement in the movie. So that kind of like watered it down. I'm gonna be out front. I'm gonna say that. It's true. It watered down the film. Like I said, it sort of tried to put out a good effort, but at the end it came out weak. I hate to say it. And it's not like those guys in the film were not talented. These are very talented actors, all of them that was in the film. All of them. Even the ones that weren't the usual actors, like Rick Ross. Or Tiana Taylor. I think she's done. I think she's done a couple of movies too. But nevertheless, she looked stunning. By the way, she really, really did. I didn't think she looked. I know she always had a really good-looking body, but man, she looked stunning in this movie. She looked gorgeous. You hardly did, and that was another thing I noticed. You hardly ever got to see her in the whole film. I mean, you saw her in the film, but you didn't see her like where I would like to have saw her in the film. I would have liked them to develop more storyline within the movie itself, so you really have a better understanding of some of the characters. She was one of them. They could have worked that angle between her and Akeem's son. Then they didn't do it. If like somebody said, it felt rushed, and it did. I'm a little disappointed in that. It's just a lot that didn't work with me in this movie. And it's like, it's really sad. Like somebody said, this was likely a cash grab. Or like a reunion type of movie. Which, I mean, I like reunion movies and TV movies like that, stuff like that. But to wait over 3 decades, to come back and do this was kind of like sad. I don't know. You guys have to see it for yourself, man. It's currently on Netflix right now. Coming to America 2, Eddie Murphy, Arsenio Hall, James Earl Jones, John Amos, Michael Blackson, Tiana Taylor, Tracy Morgan, Leslie Jones, Rick Ross. Trying to think, did I leave anybody out? Oh, Louis Anderson. Something you ain't seen him in about 100 years. That's another story. But I don't know. Oh yeah, and the guy who was singing "A Queen to Be," Paul Haggis, something I forgot his name. It's just Paul something. I don't remember his last name actually, but he was in it, you know. But I don't know. I mean, if some of it worked, some of it didn't. The highlight for me was Leslie Jones. Tracy Morgan could have been funnier, but he didn't have a big role in it either. I was like, man, what's going on here? I don't know. It just a lot of things that could have worked in the film didn't get worked in the film, and that's what the sad part about it is. And I don't know. It's just the storyline could have been better. I could have wrote a better storyline, to tell you the truth. I don't know. It's just a lot that could have worked in it that didn't get worked in it, and they watered it down to a PG-13 film. See, if that was already a film, it probably would have been a much more different film. It would have been a more popular movie. I can guarantee you that. But they want to capture the PG-13 audience from the Black Panther movie, I believe. I do believe that. And I'm like, really? So it's kind of like, it's a little ridiculous to me. I don't know. It's just kind of lackluster. I wasted 2 hours of my time to watch a movie that I thought was going to be a lot better movie than what it was. And to be honest, guys, it turned out to be a real bust for me. So, out of 5 fist pumps, I give it 2.5. The costume design worked. The sequences of the scenes, in terms of the design, set design work, I give you 2.5 for that. The rest of it, soundtrack, okay, I give you the soundtrack. Soundtrack was okay. Okay. Problem is, it could have been a little bit punched up a little bit. It wasn't bad though, I don't know. I had to give it 2.5. I'm gonna leave it about 3 stars. I give it three for those 3 things I just mentioned. Set design, costumes were fantastic, and the soundtrack wasn't bad. So really, 3 out of 5. The punchlines and the jokes wasn't working. It was just flat. That and the feminism. You know what? Because they were focusing more on that than anything else. Basically, the movie was watered down, so I'm going to give it 2.5 stars. Because of the watered down situation with the femininity of the feminist movement that they threw in there. And it's not even about men running, the man being the head of the household anymore at that point. It was, but she was disappointed. Well, you had to watch the movie. I don't know. It just a little bit all over the place to me. I just didn't like it. I'm gonna be honest with you, because I'm a big fan of Coming to America and the many of the actors that are in it, and I really want it to work. It just didn't work for me. Straight ass. It just didn't work for me at all. So 2.5 stars, or 2.5 fist bumps. That's it. That's all I can give you. It's DJ Wolf. This is my movie review of Coming to America 2. Currently on Netflix. Just mentioned all the stars on there. It's rated PG-13. I'm out.